This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with vocalist Mike Tirelli and guitarist Mickey LYXX of the heavy metal act Holy Mother. I'll start with you, Mike. If I knew absolutely nothing about Holy Mother, how would you describe the band's music to me?
I would describe it being, as of now, something very more modern than it was when we first came out in the 90s. A mixture of disturbed kind of progressive, percussive stuff, and vocally more like a Dio-ish. Vocally, I'm very inspired by Ronnie. And so I would describe it like a more modern hard rock metal with hints of Ronnie Dio vocally.
I'd say that's an accurate description, and it certainly comes through on your latest album, Rise, which comes out on June 7th through Massacre Records. Mickey, this is your first album with the group. How did you get recruited?
I got recruited in August of 2022. I knew Mike before then a bit. I got to play a gig with him, and we stayed in contact. But in the summer of 2022, he shot me a message, pretty much saying, band's moving forward. We're getting, we got a tour going out. We have an album we're working on. We need a guitar player. Would you be interested? And for me, at the time, I was playing a lot locally, doing a lot of cover stuff, just getting my name out there. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I'm like, yeah, easy, of course.
Mike, your last album with Holy Mother, Face This Burn, fantastic album. I really enjoyed it. I know there was a lot of positive reviews on it. Was there any pressure in writing Rise to kind of match the praise that Face This Burn got?
I think there's always a little pressure, but I kind of put it aside a lot of times that it would creep up on me. But I'm always writing, so it seemed easy to move forward and put the pressures behind me. I just enjoy writing and just every day putting something into music, especially writing and stuff like that. But the pressures, like I said, I kind of put them behind me, so they wouldn't be the only pressures that we did have. We're trying to meet deadlines, trying to finish it at a certain time. I mean, it's very timely when you have an album come out. You want to try to make all the festivals and try to make some of the tours that are going on, and it's got to be in conjunction with a release date of an album. So that was the only pressures, Then Ray Marte, who actually mixed the record, he was in the middle of mixing. Then his band Moontooth went out on tour, so that was a pressure. Trying, like I said, trying to meet the deadline, so we can, meet the criteria of all the festivals that will be going on in the summertime and in the fall and the tours and stuff like that. That's about it. But it can be. It can get a little crazy, A lot of bands, they come out with something, then their second record. It's almost like our second record because we took 18 years off,
Right. Mickey, were you able to get in on the songwriting? I know sometimes when a new member comes in, the album's usually set to go. They got everything for you, but did you have an opportunity to contribute on this one?
Definitely.
I did have a opportunity to contribute. I had little work on the songs, like not too much, but all the solos are me. So that was for me the fun part, because it's like, a little kid on a playground getting to do what I want. So I'm like, ooh, solos. But yeah, I did a little bit of rhythms, not I didn't contribute too much to the songwriting. Next album is going to be, I'll definitely have a bigger hand in, just because it's when I joined and stuff. But no, I did have a little bit to do with it,
No, Mickey actually played rhythm over what I did and a lot of overdubs and added some really great parts to the album. I mean, it's great to, do what I'm doing and the drummer Jim, we've been writing for years, but it was great having Mickey come in and just, you know, listening to some of the stuff and having some suggestions on arrangements and stuff like that, which was really helpful.
Let's talk about some of the songs that you've released ahead of the album. Mike, if you want to tell me a little bit about the lyrical inspiration behind the song Fire.
Fire is, I mean, I don't want to put the pressure on you, but when you hear that song, everybody has their own, you know, meaning or whatever. But I mean, when you hear that, what do you think? I don't want to ruin it for you, but
well, I think it's something that makes me want to get up and fucking throw my fist in the air and get excited about something.
well, that's exactly where we start from. But basically, I mean, the song's about a toxic love addiction that's like never ending. You know, it's like it's haunting a person forever. And what inspired me to write the song was knowing people that just can't get out of their relationship and finally, you know, putting an end to their misery, you know. But that was basically what it's about, you know. But always when we write something like Rise, you know, Rise is something. When I was putting it together, I was thinking, I just, you know, being out in front of 2,000 people or whatever, and everyone just saying Rise, you know, just like you said, you know, really getting into, you know, like a sing along, you know, or chant and then bringing people's spirits up.
I think the whole album plays to that, actually. Very high on the anthems, very high on getting the emotion up and whatnot.
Right. Well, you know what? Doing a lot of like touring in Europe and stuff like that, I see what's going on, and I tried to mix the American style that, you know, what I'm used to, and trying to mix it with the European style what they're used to, and trying to come out. And I think we did a really good job. A lot of the choruses are sing along and so on and so forth. So that was the main goal on this record and the last record. But this record more so. You know, we went out with a band called Dynasty, 2022 in April, and they're a band from Sweden. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, what a great band. But seeing what they're doing and what other bands are doing, and just like, you know, going to other shows, you know, it's like it's inspiring to see what people really like. So to combine the two was a great formula, I think, for this record, Rise.
Well, you mentioned the title track, Rise. I noticed that you're not the only vocalist on the track. Actually, James provides some vocals on that. Is this the first time he's contributed on the vocal end?
No, I don't think so. I mean, James, he's a really good singer. As you know, he's the drummer, but he actually he's not in the band anymore, just of now. He just can't stand the business, which I get. It's a tough business, you know. But I think he's contributed on a lot of stuff like answer backs and a lot of harmonies. And he actually helped me with a lot of lyrical content and a lot of lyrics. If I construct a song, I sing a melody, and a lot of times as I'm singing a melody, I'm saying words at the same time. And Jim systematically just comes out with lyrics to what I'm saying, and we make sense of it. We're like, all right, what do we want to write about? So he's brilliant in that way, you know. But Jim, yeah, he's not actually his part on that song on Rise. It is you know, going to be hard to duplicate, because I think, Mickey, you're going to have to sing it unless Jim wants to come along, sit on the side. What do you think, Mick? Are you ready to sing or what?
I mean, I can sing, but it's not my strong suit.
Mickey, when it comes to doing the guitar solos for this album or those particular songs, Rise and Fire, did you have to kind of harken back to kind of the classic Holy Mother material to kind of get a grasp for what, you know, the band's sound is?
Yes and no. You know, I'm familiar with all the past work. I've obviously gone back and done my research. But it's also a matter of I want to be my own person and take my own inspirations. I'm a big believer in, you know, when you're an instrumentalist or whatever, you take all your inspirations and you put them into this one big melting pot and you stir it, and it kind of like from there you come out of it and you have your own type of style. So like a lot of what I was doing on the album I would say is very like my big ones for that was very like Jakey Lee, Jason Becker, and a little bit of Zach Wilde, just to kind of name a few of just of like certain solos I would listen to and say, well, this kind of like I can go for this vibe a bit, so let me play around with this, and then from there, like after playing around for maybe like a half an hour, you're just in front of a loop and you're just playing in front of it. Like, okay, I think I know what I want out of this one, and from it just builds from there. And eventually, you got a cool solo that you're like, oh, nice.
Plus, you know what? Mickey's dad is a guitar player as well, so I'm sure Mickey, being inspired, and his father gives him a lot of support. His father is a great guy, and he's actually gets involved with the band and helps us as well. It's a great thing to have, a family member on your side. I never had that. All my family was always great people. I mean, I'm not knocking them. We're tight. I have two older brothers, but they were cops, police officers, and my dad as well. And no one played any music in our house. I was the only one in my room upstairs playing, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and all that kind of stuff. Playing my guitar in 11 up in my room. That's about it. So, but it's great that Mick has that support. And it shows. When Mick hits the stage, more confident than any musician I've ever played with in my life. So, and he brings it. He really brings it. So,
Mike, were your brothers New York City cops?
yes. Yeah.
Oh, God bless them.
Yeah, I know. My older brother's retired for a while. My brother Danny's been on for a long time. He's the vice president of the PBA in New York City. Yeah, so it's great. I feel compassion for a lot of the cops today, as you see, how they get treated and stuff. And a lot of people don't get it unless you come from a family of cops. Like my dad or whatever. And you feel bad the way it's exposed. People always, they get pulled over, they have their phone, and they're trying to, entice the cop into doing something wrong. It's just not right. So,
your latest single is Jeremiah. Great track, Mike. If you want to tell me a little bit about that song.
Well, Jeremiah was a bad man, right?
He was also a bullfrog.
Exactly. When we were just on the DORO tour in March, and I would start my skit out as, hey, everybody, this next song is Jeremiah. And I'd say Jeremiah was a bullfrog. As we know, Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Some people didn't know that Jeremiah was a bullfrog, we're in Europe. I don't know.
I would argue that most of the European audience didn't know that, including myself and the bass player, who every night when he said that would look at each other and go,
well, maybe Mickey, he's 20 years. But anyway, it was written pretty much about a guy who's just a swindler, like a guy that everyone believes all his lies and what he thinks is great. And, like Elon Musk, whatever, he's got all these dreams about going to the moon and pretty much about that. It wasn't about anyone specific, but we can all relate to a lot of people that are, we believe in, especially today. Again, all the advertisements and things that are going on social media. We believe this one's selling this one's selling that. It's a health potion or whatever it is. We're flooded with it. So this one guy, Jeremiah, it was about, the lyric is great. It's like Jeremiah. Hey, what you say, what you're going to say, whatever. Jeremiah was a bad man. He told the truth, but he always lied, in his own mind, So it's such a catchy song. And I hope it's so far people are really, liking that song a lot. And I think if it's pushed well, I really think it can become something really, really big,
I hope so. It is a great track. The whole album is great. I didn't think you could outdo the last one, but you did.
Great. I appreciate that. That's a tough task a lot of times, We had different producers. we had Ray Marte from Moontooth do this one. He's a drummer. And the last record was Kane Churko, who's Kevin Churko did Disturbed and Five Finger Death Punch. And so, you know, obviously he's very well respected in the business, Kane. And, you know, Ray did a phenomenal job, you know. And we also used one on the elevator. We used a gentleman by the name of Stefan Liebling. He used to be in the band called Primal Fear. He mixed that song, and that song came out really well. You know, so he's only mixed one song, and he did some mixing, I believe, if I can remember, on Live to Die as well.
On the new album Rise, you have a old Holy Mother track that you've kind of modernized a bit. Live to Die. It originally appeared on the Toxic Rain album in 1998. Was this your way of kind of keeping the memory of bassist Randy Coven alive, who passed away in 2014?
No doubt about it. I mean, Randy was, a virtuoso, as we know. I mean, he's played with so many different great musicians, Zakk Wylde, Steve Vai, Satriani, Al Pitrelli, Yngwie Malmsteen, and he's played on every record that we did except for the last album, and Faceless Burn and Rise. And you know, Randy would be proud. I know he would be proud of these two albums, but you know, it's you know, it was a tough loss with him, you know. And I just wanted to bring something back that we play live that everybody enjoys, you know. I'm like, I said to Mickey, I said to Jim, I'm like, let's do Live to Die on this album. Like the last record we did The River. That was on Toxic Rain. So I decided, you know what, let's bring back another one from Toxic Rain. Redo it again. We had Rich Nazo play some rhythm guitar on it. And of course, Mickey. And we also had Jason Banks, who is Wayne Banks, the bass player in the band, his brother, who plays with Messiah's Kiss. Yeah, I think it was a great idea. Like I said, we play it live, and it's one of my favorite songs to sing live. So,
Mickey, were you familiar with Randy Coven? I mean, I know you're a younger fellow and might have been a little bit before your time, but I mean, obviously with the internet, all the music lives on.
Yeah, I am very familiar with Randy Coven, his work with, you know, Satriani, Vai, Wild. He's an amazing bass player. It's, you know, it's such a shame that, you know, he's no longer with us. But you can just see the legacy that he's left. It's a big one. And so, you know, even knowing going into this band that there's that legacy, it's you know, it's something to definitely take on and honor, because he's just a phenomenal musician.
yeah, funny enough, if this sounds, or ironically enough, our bass player who lives in Nottingham, Wayne Banks, he used to actually buy Randy's tutorials on VHS. Yeah, he's like, I used to love Randy. So I had Wayne met him on the Messiah's Kiss tour. It's a long story, and he played on Agoraphobia, and he was actually really honored. He's like, you know, I'm a big fan of Randy and all that. So, and it's funny, when we were on tour, on the Dynasty tour, Wayne likes to party. You know, me, I can't do that. I got to get my rest. Once he starts getting a couple beers in him, he's like, he had, you know, started talking about Randy one time, and he's like, Randy's my favorite bass player, and you know, it's an honor to be in this band, and you know, when people start to drink and they start to get that's Wayne. It's great. But Wayne's a really great bass player. He's played with a lot of great top musicians. He played with Robin Gibb for a while, Joe Turner. He plays in this classic rock thing. So it's a great thing to have Wayne in the band as well. You know, and he's a great writer. But Randy's legacy will live on forever. I mean, a lot of people always bring up his name, you know, and it's a good thing. So we miss him.
Rise is going to be available in multi formats, digital. It's going to be CD, and you got a great vinyl. I don't know. Is this your first album on vinyl? I know it's your first album in the new era of Holy Mother on vinyl.
There it is, right there, vinyl. You can see.
It's getting blurred out.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's tough because you got the blurred background, but it looks great.
Yeah, it's on all that. Yeah, the vinyl. We haven't had a vinyl with Holy Mother ever. Last time I had a vinyl was with like Burning Star when I was like mix age or less. And then it converted over to CD. And I guess that was a big deal back in what? I don't know, when was that? A long time ago.
80s, 70s.
Yeah, not 70s, geez. But yeah, that was the last time I had vinyl.
That was Burning Star?
Yeah, Burning Star came out. The first album, No Turning Back, Jack Starr. Orange, the Orange album, a Blaze of Glory album. That was the last time, yeah.
I gotta send you a photo, but I was just in a record shop in Pennsylvania recently. I totally forgot to tell you. It was like some like hole-in-the-wall record shop, and I went in and I was digging through albums, and I saw 2 Burning Star albums.
Right. Which ones?
It wasn't the one with you and Jim on it. It was just you. It's when they misspelled your name.
They misspelled my... Oh, that was No Turning Back.
Yeah, it was that album. I have a picture of it. I forgot to send it to you because it was just like we had that. And I was like, oh no, and then we just like had to do something else. But I gotta send that to you.
Send it to me. We're going to be in a lot of record stores, hopefully. Record Stop over here in it's actually in Patchogue now. But yeah, first time I ever saw Mick was actually, I was thinking about that. It was a poster review. I got to let George know this. I think they had a poster in Record Stop one time of you. Because I think you're doing some kind of like an outdoor festival in Patchogue.
He beats me. I didn't even know that.
It looks like a rock star. So yeah, that was the first time I ever saw Mick. And my wife went to see him at an outdoor festival in Patchogue.
You guys have a gig coming up in New York City at Sony Hall on May 18th, opening for Zebra. Mike, do you have any history with the band Zebra?
I do. Actually, the first time, Burning Star did a gig with Zebra back in '88 or whatever. But Randy Jackson is a friend of mine, and when I was out at NAMM, I saw Randy at the Michael Kelly guitar booth or whatever, and I said to Randy, I said, you know what, we got a new album coming out, we got a single and blah blah blah. And I said, I want to do a show with you guys. I said, I know who the promoter is, this guy Dave R. He goes, well, yeah. I go, but Dave is a friend of mine, but he's a little reluctant to put us on with you guys. He goes, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. So whatever, he gave me all the info. I contacted the promoter for Sony Hall, and then the guy didn't get back to me right away. And he goes, well, just put my headline in there. And, say Randy, the guy got back to me. So it was a little bit of work, but, it came together, and it's great because I'm excited to play. Sony Hall is a great venue, amazing venue. And like I said, we got to start focusing on the States here with this new album. We really got to get out and start playing. But and we're trying to get shows. A lot of stuff is booked up, as you know. But I believe as soon as the album is out in June, it's definitely going to open up a lot of doors for better shows for the band here in the States, as well as Europe.
Mickey, besides opening for Zebra on that night, I mean, playing in your home city must, it's always exciting, right?
Yeah, it's always a treat. I just love playing, so I guess anywhere I can play, it's always, even if it's to 5 people, I don't care. I just love playing.
Plays at McDonald's sometimes and Burger King. Oh yeah, he goes right down there and just starts playing. He don't care where. He goes, yeah, we got a gig at McDonald's on next Monday. Hey, why not, right?
That's right. Grab a 2 for $3 Big Mac.
That's great.
Now, for I believe, and you've mentioned it earlier, your shows with DORO over in Germany earlier this year, 6 sellout shows, thousands of fans, very successful. What was it? How was the experience for you specifically, Mike?
Well, I've been trying to actually get this tour for Holy Mother for like 3 years, and her manager Hans um, has been getting back to me. I mean, back and forth. You know, she's already booked on this and that. But when we finally got it, we were really excited. I toured with DORO with Messiah's Kiss in 2002. We did like 34 dates or something. It was really, really great. It was our first album. So I knew that DORO is, you know, I love DORO. You know, she's such a great person. But when we finally, you know, got this tour, we were like blown away because, like you said, every show was sold out in advance. And the great thing about it was, I mean, the hospitality was amazing. All the venues are amazing. The band guys are great. I mean, I know Johnny D real well, so it was great seeing him again. And I mean, they gave us utmost respect on every show that we did. You know, we got sound checks. We were up there for sometimes more than an hour doing a sound check. You know, it was great. But the best thing was it was sold out every night. So when we went on, it seems like in the States, sometimes a sold out show, you go on and the support band, sometimes it's 3/4 full, maybe, you know, maybe a little more than that or even less. We went on, it was done, packed, every show. So Mickey can attest to this. You know, we're backstage, the first show, whatever. I think it was in Kaiserslautern, our first show. I'm not even sure. We come out and it's like we're expecting, you know, a lot of people, but we look out, we're like filled to the top, filled to the bottom. And Mickey looks at me. Mickey's never nervous. The most confident guy. He looks at me, he goes, "So I'm kind of nervous." He goes, "For this one." I go, "You know what? That's good. But don't be too nervous because you're making me nervous now." But it was amazing. It really was. We looked out, we're like, "Oh my God." And not only was it full capacity, when we get off the stage, it was great because we got encores almost every night and it was well received. So with that said, by the fourth show, Dora's manager emailed me and said, "Listen, we really want you to come back in December and do the you know, the next run of tours of the tour." I'm like, "Yeah, definitely. I mean, how can we say no?" You know, and I think it was a great match musically, styles, you know, so it really worked out great. I mean, best tour I've ever done, really.
Mickey, how about your thoughts and experience with that particular tour?
Oh yeah, it was definitely just a lot of fun. It was just the vibe, I guess, going around was just it was a very positive, fun vibe. Every show was sold out, so you know, that's exciting as it is. But just even just like Mike mentioned, the hospitality with that band, you know, as musicians, we've all dealt with some, you know, being the opening band and, you know, maybe the headliner isn't so cool to you. But Doors people were super friendly. Like by the end of the third, like, you know, the first, second gig, you're kind of getting used to each other and kind of, "Oh, hey, how are you?" You know, but I would say like the end of the third gig, it was like everyone was just family. Like I remember we had a little bit of a break between 3 gigs. We had a break and then 3 gigs. By that fourth gig, when we all walked in, it was like just seeing family members. Everyone was just like, "Hey, what's going on?" It was all hanging out. The vibes were great. You know, they know Johnny D, and you know, Johnny D was a legend in Monroe, obviously. But then some of her other guys like Boss Moss, Bill Hudson, and one of my favorites, Stefan, the bass player. Me and him and the road manager and our bass player, we would before every gig, we were always playing foosball and just making fun of each other while playing it. Because you know, I'm the only American that's playing, and they're all making fun of me because you know what do we know about soccer? But Good, just a positive vibe. The music was, night in and night out, just was always stellar. It was honestly just a great experience, and just to meet all those fans, make a lot of new fans. Um, you really couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, and after the shows, we did our signings and meet and greets, and it was overwhelming. It really was. I mean, the first couple of nights, the first 3 nights, it was just unbelievable. People lining up, and some people haven't heard of the band, which was great. We made new fans, but all the reception was just overwhelming. It really was. I mean, people, a lot of people, you do interviews and people are like, yeah, it was great. It was, but it really was great. And the only thing I was worried about as a singer, you meet all these people, and you got to meet and greet, and you don't know who's sick. As a singer, I got to, and but you obviously can't be rude. You got, we can't afford to be rude. Not that we ever would be rude, but speaking of everyone. So the first 3 shows, we did all the meet and greet. After we had a little break, I actually got a cold, and I was nervous. I'm like, oh no, I'm getting sick, and blah. So thank God we had a couple of days off. Actually, it was 9 days, and I recovered pretty quickly. But it's always a scare for a singer, to go to the meet and greet and meet everyone, So, but we're gonna leave that up to Mick next time. I'm gonna just come out and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" They all love Mickey anyway, man.
Mike, I saw that you performed as part of a all-star jam at the 2024 Metal Hall of Fame. You performed Neon Nights, a song by one of your idols, Ronnie James Dio, when he was in Black Sabbath. I saw that Wendy Dio was also in the crowd, so this must have been a kind of a great experience for you.
It really was. I've never met her before, but I think people have brought my name up that I do. I'm really a big fan of Ronnie, and I think she knows that I had the same. I had stomach cancer 16 years ago. Ronnie had the same thing, and it was great. I mean, just there was a lot of great musicians there as well, and just to sing those, I did "Children of the Sea" and "Neon Nights," and afterward, I went up to Wendy and gave her a hug. We took some pictures, and she said, she appreciates what I do, and you're a really talented singer, and that meant a lot to me. It was great.
Did you ever have the chance to meet Ronnie?
No, somebody else asked me that in the last interview. I can't believe the only time I was at Madison Square Garden. I think it was Motorhead, Dio, and Iron Maiden. I think it was in 2002 or 2003. And I was up front, so shook his hand. That was it. Never got to meet him.
You mentioned Messiah's Kiss earlier, Mike. Is that band still going, or is that on permanent hiatus?
It's definitely not on permanent hiatus. We've been recording stuff back and forth for like, let me see, 16, God, like 7, 8 years. I've been singing. The thing is that Wayne, the bass player, and his brother are writers. I'm a writer. The main writer, George, is not in the band anymore. The guy had 2 strokes. So he was, the main writer of most of the albums. But Eddie now is a writer. He's the main guy. He's the drummer in Germany, Liz. And everyone was putting their ideas together. And it was kind of like getting away from Messiah's Kisses, what they do, what they're about, They're about traditional, except Judas Priest, a little bit Dio with my voice. And I think they said, you know what, all these songs are good, but it's not fit for a Messiah's Kiss album. So that was the delay, But we are writing again, and I think we're actually starting again. So by maybe sometime next year, Messiah's Kiss will put something out.
Mickey, do you work with any other bands?
I do. So I'm in this project, obviously. I have my own project. It's the MICKEY LYXX Band. I released a solo record, like say 3 years ago. And I do that. I'm in a band with a singer called Jill Gioia. She was in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. She was on CBS's Rockstar Supernova that was hosted by like Tommy Lee and all those, big people. And she we play out all the time. We get to, we get like a nice, it's a good steady gig. It's and we get like nice good gigs sometimes that are, a little bit more upscale as far as like rich people, I guess you would say. But and then I just do a lot of hired hand work. For any band that needs me. I'm always just I'm accommodating and I try my best to, oh, you need for this festival or you have a couple tour dates. Sure, I'll help out, of course. So just kind of getting the name out there and just playing around.
Yeah, Jill Gioia is an amazing singer, by the way, musician. Yeah, she's actually going to be with us at Sony Hall. Just singing some background stuff. She's got an amazing, powerful voice for a woman, and she's very well rounded. She does. It's funny. She does a lot of rock stuff too. She'll sing like "Rainbow in the Dark" and acoustically with Mick. But yeah, Mick actually does. You guys do wedding gigs and stuff with her, right? Actually, I'm filling in. We're doing a wedding gig.
All types of stuff from big rock. Like last summer, we played like a huge amphitheater to like we will do wedding gigs, all that type of stuff.
Right. I'm in a wedding band as well for like 16, 17 years. Really, really a bunch of like amazing, talented musicians. It's great. So, that also influences me on writing as well, because we're playing all kinds of, different kinds of music, but the musicianship is just off the chart in the band Entourage. Great, great guys. You got one of the lead singers, Rashida. She was with Janet Jackson for a lot of years. Enrique Iglesias and who else was she with? Paul Abdul. Did all that stuff. Yeah, she's good. Really great. I learned a lot from different singers myself,
But just to chime in here, I think it's like just bringing it up. I think it's almost like when you say to a person like you should work retail at least once in your life to understand like how they feel. As a musician, you should be in a wedding band at least once in your life, just because of the amount of talent in the room. And I'm a big believer in if you are the most talented person in that room, then you are in the wrong room, my friend.
Yeah, right.
Room. But that's why that's why we'll do some wedding stuff because like I know like when I do my when I'm doing wedding stuff or even Mike can attest, I'm not the most talented person in that room, but it's good to feed off and learn from people and see, okay, this person does this thing this way, this person does it another way. And you kind of find out what's good for you and what works for you, and you learn a lot.
No doubt, no doubt. I learned a lot vocally. Singing with 4 different singers in the band, everyone's got their style, and mostly harmony stuff. Because when I first got into Entourage, it was all about harmony, and I'm like, I'm a lead singer, man. I know, basic harmony, fifths, thirds, and whatever comes to my mind, whatever feels good. These guys, the bass player is like charting out the harmonies and charting out the songs, and it was like when Dream Theater back in the day. It was very intimidated. John and they were looking for a singer right before they changed to Dream Theater, and they're from very close to where I live, and they were looking and they were asking, we need you. We really think you would be great with Dream Theater. Mike Portnoy, whatever. I go down to one of them. I'm like, all right, I'll go down. So I go down. They pull out a blackboard. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And they start writing out different time signatures. And I'm like, oh, this is like I think I was 19 or 20 or whatever. I'm like, this is not my style. It was like intimidating, And John's like, no, you can just sing everything. Don't worry about it. It's just, we do what we do. But I was more into what I was doing, being complacent, I would say, But obviously they had a great career and they finally won a Grammy last year after all the years,
Yeah.
And John's funny,
Mike, did you ever have the opportunity to try out for other bands that it just didn't work out?
Back in the day, I had this girl, Lucy Forbes. She was out in California and she put like a compilation cassette tape and she'd send it out. And And I used to get offers from all these bands. I mean, the style that I was singing was so like perfect for the time, and it was like they were looking for singers. So I got a lot of opportunities that I turned down, you know. Um, what's the band from Connecticut? They're like a Dream Theater band. He called me a bunch of times, and I'm like, "Nah, I'm in a band here." And he's like, I'm sure you heard of him. I can't think of the name off right now. And a lot of bands over in Europe are, saying they want to fly me out. There was a band from Massachusetts that I said, you know what? Let me just go check them out. And this is weird. I was 18 years old. And are you familiar with a guy, and his name is Jim Blute? He owned a lot of like Celebrations. He had a club out there. It was like, he had a lot of money, and he was back in this band, Steel Assassin, it was, I think. And they were looking for a singer, and I went out there just for the free trip with a manager who was managing me. It was weird. But basically I wasn't really into that. But there was a lot of opportunities, I was in a band in Buffalo that wasn't signed. And that's basically it. I mean, a lot of people ask me to sing on albums and stuff like that, especially lately, but nothing. Actually, here's one. Wait, I just recorded a song for the Metal Hall of Fame. It's called Attack of the Witch. It was supposed to be released for a Halloween song. And Pat Casaldo, who's the president of the company, came to my studio. I wrote the song, played guitars, used a lot of his lyrics because he wanted it to be that title, And then we had Tony McAlpine played the solo. Bob Daisley played bass. Pat played drums, and Derek Sheranian played keys on it. So that was a pretty cool project recently that I did.
Mickey, any bands reach out to you that it just didn't work out?
Yeah, I've had a few. I'd rather just, out of respect, just maybe keep it under wraps, as I don't want to, expose anyone, or I'm not that type of person.
Fair enough. Mike, you said you're always writing. I know Rise hasn't even been released yet, but are you working on the next Holy Mother album?
God, kidding me? The studio's on right now. I got ideas running through my head constantly. I'm at the gym, and I'm like humming things into my phone, humming things. Then I go to rehearsal. I'm like, Mick, check this out. And we got a new drummer in the band. His name is Steve McQueen. Everyone smiles, right? He's phenomenal. So like, I'll come down and give him something like a groove or whatever. But I'm always right. That's the key, man. But once you stop writing, I find you're totally out of the feeling of writing, But once you start, it just never stops for me. I just always have something. That's the way you decipher between what's maybe palatable or what's good, or what's maybe not so good, So just keep writing. And then, the thing is too, you want to be relevant as well. So when this album finally reaches its end, we want to be in the press right away. We want to keep going, because if Holy Mother would have kept going from the 18-year hiatus, we would have been a lot bigger than we are right now. Consistency, obviously.
And your earlier albums are definitely consistent and just as good as your newer albums. Not easy to get though these days. There's a few available streaming, but not all of them. I assume this is a rights record label thing, but is there a chance that you could do something collectively bringing these back out, maybe presenting them as vinyl, just kind of a whole collection thing?
Well, we've been in talks with different people on re-releasing Toxic Rain, Criminal Afterlife, My World War. But the right deal hasn't come across the table yet. I believe with the momentum of the band right now, what we're doing, we're touring, new album, I think it's going to be more valuable as we become more valuable. So there's a bunch of different labels. There's a Polish label, of course, some German labels, American label. And, we'll see. We try to get the best offer, Like I said, we're building again, and we're definitely going to re-release it again, no doubt. I did put Toxic Rain and Criminal Afterlife up on Spotify and all that, where you can, hear it, and remastered it myself. So,
well, Mike, Mickey, that's all I got for you today. The new Holy Mother album is Rise. It's out on June 7th through Massacre Records. And I want to thank you both for taking the time to speak with KNAC.com today and filling us in about the album, the tour, and everything Holy Mother.
Yeah, great. Let me ask you something, George. What is a song on the album that stood out the most, pretty much? Do you have one at all?
I liked Rise. I liked Jeremiah. Actually, Jeremiah was a big surprise to me. I'm like, wow, this song's called Jeremiah, and I'm really digging it.
I feel the same way. I mean, even people who are not really into hard rock or whatever, it's just the lyrical content or whatever, the lyric, the way it comes right away. You'll never forget it, and the riff. So that is the single that's out right now. And I think we got to focus on that, Mickey. Anyway, thank you so much, George. I appreciate it.